Subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss another video of Bhakti Charu Swami.
How did you like the Maha Abhishek of Panchatattva today? And how many of you have come with a one-way ticket? Did you understand what I meant? Prabhupada used to say that when you come to the Holy Dham, especially to the devotees, those who came from abroad, that you should come to Mayapur with a one-way ticket. Meaning, you come to Mayapur and don't go back. So, tell me, have you really fallen in love with Mayapur? Or was it too soon to fall in love with? Or has it been love at first sight? I can see that everyone became very serious. Okay. Why I'm asking this? Because Mayapur is non-different from spiritual sky. Mayapur is the spiritual sky. Why? Because this is the place the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, appeared. How many of you know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Very good. Okay. Is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu an incarnation of Krishna, or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself? Very good. I'm happy to see what a learned audience I have. That makes my presentation easier. Because sometimes, when you have to present things to uneducated, meaning the people, those who do not know the topic, then you have to explain to them what you're talking about. I'll tell you recently what happened. I was in America, and on Nityananda Trayodasi, I was supposed to give a class. Naturally, on Nityananda Trayodasi, I was preparing to give the class on Nityananda Prabhu. But when I came to give the class, then I saw that there were quite a few new people. Those who came for the first time. And I was thinking that if I just start to speak about Nityananda Prabhu's pastimes to those people, they won't understand anything. So I had to give the class on very simple things about what we are practicing. What is our basic spiritual philosophy. We had to establish the identity or the existence of the soul, the spiritual world. Then I went to Supreme Personality of Godhead, and at the end I just pointed out how the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes down to this material nature and what's the purpose of his appearance. So here also our topic is the identity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I can see that most of you know who is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I don't have to speak about the basics. I can just go deep into the topic itself. Right? Do you think that's a good idea? Okay. And when we speak about something, it must be substantiated with scriptural evidence. Because when we are dealing about the spiritual topic, when we are dealing about the spiritual reality, then there is no room for speculation or imagination. It has to be presented as it is. Spiritual reality is beyond our material senses. The spiritual reality is beyond our sense perception. That reality exists beyond our sight. Therefore, we cannot possibly have any knowledge or understanding about that reality. It's a reality, it exists, it's there. But we cannot see that place, we cannot touch that place, we cannot walk into that place. Therefore, the only way we can perceive that reality or understand that reality through informations given by people, those who have seen that world or those who have come from that world. The informations about that reality has been presented initially by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Krishna Himself gave this knowledge to the first living entity in this material nature. Who is that? Lord Brahma. Tene Brahmarhida Adikavaye Muihanti Jatsurayaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead imparted this knowledge in the heart of Lord Brahma. So, that is how that knowledge descended from that reality to this material nature. What Krishna gave to Brahma is known as the Vedas. Vedas means the knowledge. So first, that knowledge was imparted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself to the first living entity in this material nature, Lord Brahma. That is how that knowledge came. And then, through a chain of disciplic succession, through a chain of guru to disciple. Krishna is the original guru, Adi Guru, who gave this knowledge to Lord Brahma. Then Brahma imparted this knowledge to his son, Narad Muni. And then in this way, this knowledge became available since the beginning of creation. The only way we can receive this knowledge is through a person who comes in this line through which this knowledge is flowing. And this knowledge has been recorded in books, and those books are called Shastras or Scriptures. Therefore, whenever we speak about that topic, it must be substantiated by scriptural evidence. scriptures say, that's why we accept it. Because there is no other way of verifying. Because our perceptions are limited through our senses. But that reality is beyond our senses. So, the question arises about the identity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And then immediate consideration is, let's see what the scriptures had to say about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's identity, there's a little problem. The problem is, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came covering his identity. Channo Kalo. In the age of Kali, the Supreme Personality descends, covering his identity. Why? Because in the age of Kali, the Lord doesn't descend as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He descended, he came as a devotee. Therefore, he had to hide his identity. If everybody could recognize that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then how could he act as a devotee? Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself covered his identity, and the scriptures are also, in a way, not fully describing about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's identity. Now here's another consideration. The scriptures, the books are there, but the books alone are not the proper source of information. Source of information, but not the proper understanding comes from reading the books itself. That's applicable to any book, any topic, any subject. Somebody has to explain. For example, there are books of alphabets. A, B, C, D. Now, did anyone learn the alphabets just by reading the book himself? Even to learn A, B, C, D, we needed somebody to teach us. Is there anyone who learned the alphabet himself? Either A, B, C, D or A, A, Ka, Kha? We need a teacher. And the teacher actually teaches or reveals the book, the topic of the book. Therefore, to properly understand the scriptures, we need a teacher. And, for example, the books are there. In Bhagavatam, at the very beginning, practically, Krishna's identity is being revealed as the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Meaning, there are two considerations, incarnations and the Lord Himself. The incarnation, meaning the Lord descends, expanding Himself. And they are called avatar or incarnations. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam at the beginning is pointing out that there are 22 different incarnations have been described, and then it says that there are innumerable incarnations. Avatarahi asankhayo. There are innumerable incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But, ete changsha kala pungsha. These incarnations are His amsa. Amsa means His parts. And kala pumsa, kala means parts of the parts. But, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Sri Krishna is the Swayam Bhagavan. the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. So Krishna is not an incarnation. Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Krishna is not an avatar. Krishna is the avatari. Now, although in Bhagavatam this has been presented, this understanding has been presented, is there in the shlokas that I mentioned. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, ete changsha kala pungsha. But still people couldn't understand. They read Srimad Bhagavatam but couldn't understand that. They considered that Krishna is an incarnation. Krishna, generally incarnations come from the Kshirodakshai Vishnu. There are three Vishnus: Karanodakshai Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Kshirodakshai Vishnu. And it's the Kshirodakshai Vishnu who is present in the universe, lying in the milk ocean, who is also situated in everyone's heart as the super soul. He actually appears as different incarnations in specific universes. Now they are saying that Krishna is an incarnation. Some even considered that Krishna is Keshavatar, two hairs of Narayan's body, one black and one white. And the expansion of the black hair is Krishna, the white hair is Balaram. But when we came to ISKCON, when you became exposed to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, what did you get to know? Krishna is not an incarnation. Krishna is the source of incarnation, and is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. How did we understand that? Because Prabhupada revealed it to us. Prabhupada told us. And it was substantiated with proper evidences. Like just as I mentioned, the most important evidence is the scriptures. Therefore, we need a teacher to recognize who Krishna is, who Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not an incarnation, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the source of all incarnations. Krishna himself. Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that Krishna came as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We also get to know even more, even further. Not that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha Krishna together. And they're all there in the scriptures. So that's why it is very important that we substantiate our presentations with proper scriptural evidences. So when we are speaking about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's identity, who is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to go to the scriptures. We have to recognize him in the eyes, we have to see him through the eyes of the scriptures. There are two ways of seeing. With our mundane eyes, that is one way of seeing. But even better is to see through the eyes of the scriptures. And when we try to recognize Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through the eyes of the scriptures, everything becomes clear. Who is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Jad Advaitang Brahmopanishadi Tadapasyatu Anubha. The Brahman effulgence, Brahma Jyoti, the spiritual light, the spiritual substance that permeates the entire spiritual world, and which is the cause of creation of this material nature, Brahma, which has been described in the Upanishads as Advaitam, non-dual. It's one and without any other manifestation. Advaitam. Jad Advaitam Brahma Upanishadi, in the Upanishads, Tadappasya Tanubha. That is the effulgence of his body. Tadappasya Tanubha. Ja Atmantarjami Purusho iti sho ashangsha vibhavaha. The one who resides in everyone's heart as the Antarjami, super soul, he is his manifestation. So ashangsha vibhavaha. Saraisarja purna jahya bhagavan saswayam ayam. The Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is endowed with 6 opulences, that is He Himself. Na Chaitanyat Krishnat Jagati Paratattam Paramiha. Beyond that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna Himself, there is no truth, there is no tattva beyond Him. He is the ultimate, absolute truth. So that is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's identity. Srimad Bhagavatam, he has been described. Badanti tattattavidas tattvam jajganam abdvayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdati. Badanti, speak. Tattattavidas tattvam. Those who are knower of this truth, knower of the absolute truth. They describe that Jad Advaitam, which is non-dual, one without a second, as Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdati. Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagavan. We are getting the same presentation here. Bhagavad Bhagavatam has said, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is describing the same point. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti shabdati. Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagavan is the same absolute truth. Brahma is his bodily effulgence, Paramatma is his expansion as the super soul in everyone's heart, and he himself is Bhagavan, endowed with Saraisharja Purnas, endowed with 6 opulences. That is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada further explained, how does this one absolute personality of Godhead, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is manifest in 3 different ways. As I just mentioned, his bodily effulgence, his expansion as a super soul, and he himself. To explain that point, Srila Prabhupada is saying, a train at night. When we see the train at night, how do we see it? I'm sure most of you have traveled by train and you have been waiting on the platform for the train to arrive impatiently. And then all of a sudden you see, what do you see first? The light of the train. Then the train comes when the train comes closer, then you see the body of the train. And when the train comes onto the platform and stops, then you see the people inside the compartment. The same train, A distant vision is the light. Little closer vision is the body of the train, and the close perception is the train itself with the compartments, people inside, and so forth. Srila Prabhupada further explained why there are three different types of perception. One is when we see from a distance through knowledge, through jnana. When our endeavor is to know the absolute truth through knowledge, through the process of not this, not this. That is the process by which the jnanis approach. Not this, not this. Not this means this is material, this is material, this is material, and finally they come to the spiritual domain, and then they see the light. That is by the means of external effort. When one tries to understand the absolute truth, the supreme reality, the spiritual reality through their intellect, knowledge, then they end up seeing the Brahma Jyoti. Through jnana, he is manifest as Brahma Jyoti. Then when one turns his consciousness inwardly through the process of yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, then in his ultimate perfection, in his samadhi, he sees him as the super soul in the heart. That is through yoga. Through jnana, one sees him as Brahma Jyoti. Through yoga, one ultimately sees him as the super soul. And then when one surrenders unto him and becomes engaged in devotional service, developing his love for him, then he becomes manifest as Bhagavan. So through jnana, he is manifest as Brahma Jyoti. Through yoga, he is manifest as Paramatma. And through bhakti, through loving devotional service, he becomes manifest in his original identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, this is how we are recognizing who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From the scriptures, we get the understanding, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that same Krishna is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this place. This is the place where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. You all must have seen his birthplace about 1 kilometer from here, Jogopith. There's a neem tree. Under that neem tree, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared as the son of Sachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in this way, takes his birth just like an ordinary human being. When he performs his pastimes as a human being, he takes birth like that. Otherwise, he does not take birth. Like Lord Nrsingadev, he came from a pillar. As Varahadev, he came from Brahma's nose. Brahma sneezed and a fish appeared. As a war area appeared, Varahadev. Similarly, to Manu, he appeared as a fish from nowhere. When he came to rescue the Gajendra, the king of the elephants, he came straight from Dwarka riding on his Garuda. So the Lord can appear in any way he wants. Krishna himself said that. Ajopi san abbayatma bhutanam ishwaropi shan. Prakriting sham adhisthaya sambhavami atma mayaya. Aja, I am unborn. Api, although I am unborn, Aja api san, avvayatma, I am inexhaustible. Bhutanam ishwaropi shan, I am the supreme controller of everything. Still, I manifest myself, sambhavami. I manifest myself. Why? To achieve certain purpose. The purpose is paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. So Krishna descends to this material nature. But sometimes he appears as a human being. Now the human beings are generally born from father and mother. Therefore, when Krishna performs his human-like pastimes, then he takes birth like an ordinary human child. Just like when he appeared as Ramchandra, he appeared as the son of Dasarath and Kaushalya. When he came as Vamandev, he appeared as Kashyap, the son of Kashyapa and Aditi. When he came as Krishna, he appeared as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. Similarly, when he appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he appeared as the son of Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra. So that is how Krishna manifests himself. Especially when he appears as a human being, he takes birth like any other human being. Like in Bhagavad Gita we are seeing, when Krishna, in the third chapter, Krishna described about Karma Yoga. And then he told Arjuna, in the beginning of fourth chapter, that Arjuna, I gave this knowledge to Vivaswan, the sun god. But unfortunately, in course of time, the knowledge was lost. Therefore, I am re-establishing that branch of knowledge through you, because you are my friend and you are my devotee. I gave this knowledge to Vivaswan, the sun god, so many millions of years ago. Imang vivashyate yogam praktavanaham abhayam. So Arjuna's natural query, natural consideration was, Hare Krishna, you were born just the other day. And Vivaswan was born so many billions or trillions of years ago. Aparang bhavato janma, parang janma vivasvataha. Kathametad vijaniyam tamado praktavaniti. How can I understand that you gave this knowledge to Vivaswan? It's a natural question, natural doubt. And then Krishna, what did Krishna say? Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacha Arjuna. Arjuna, both you and I have been born many, many times. But tani ahang veda sarvani nattang vittha parantapaha. About those births I remember everything, whereas you don't remember anything. So here Krishna is establishing the difference between the jivas and himself. Both of us take birth. Krishna also takes birth, we also take birth as human beings. But the difference is we forget about our previous births. Whereas Krishna remembers everything. So this is how Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is establishing his identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's a difference, Arjun, there's a difference between you and me. And then he's saying, Ajopi san abbayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san. I am unborn. I don't need to take birth. I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But prakritin shamadhisthaya sambhavami atmamayaya. I manifest myself. I don't take birth. Sambhavami. He established that I am aja, I am unborn, and now he is saying, I manifest myself. When it appears that I am born, it's simply I am manifesting myself with my Atma-maya, with my Yoga-maya, with my internal potency. It seems that I have taken birth, but I don't take birth. I am unborn. So Krishna's appearance as the son of certain father and mother is actually Krishna's divine arrangement through Yogamaya. He manifests himself. And then it has been pointed out that Krishnero joteko khela tar moddhe naro lila naro bopu taharo sharup. Of all the different pastimes of Krishna, Krishna's pastimes as the human being, Naro Lila, pastimes as human being, is the most exalted. Most exalted. Of all of Krishna's pastimes, his pastimes as human being is the most exalted, is the highest of all his pastimes. Because Naro Bopu Taharo Swarup. Because the human-like form is his actual identity, actual form, Swarup. So Krishna's form is like that of a human being. Only difference is our forms are made of 5 elements, whereas Krishna's forms are Satchidananda Vigraha. Krishna's forms are of eternity, knowledge and bliss. Satchidananda Vigraha. Our forms are material, Krishna's form is spiritual. Very mercifully, Krishna gave us this form. Its human-like form is the greatest gift that any living entity can ever have. Because that is Krishna's original form. Krishna's form is 2-armed. Krishna's expansions are 4-armed, or 8 arms, or 1,000 arms. They are the expansions, but Krishna's original form is like our form. So very mercifully Krishna has given his own, the form like his own to us. Therefore we should be very, very careful not to make a mistake that because Krishna has 2 arms and I have 2 arms, therefore I am equal to Krishna. We should never think that way. We should rather recognize it's such an amazing gift we receive from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And again, the scriptures are actually saying that this form is so exalted, human-like form, human form is so exalted. Gayanti Deva Kilagita Kani Dhannastuye Bharata Bhumi. The demigods in the heavenly planets pray to Krishna, Gayanti Deva, with all sincerity, that if at all we have some piety left, with that piety, please give us the human-like form in the earth planet. So that is how rare this form is. And because we have this form where Krishna descends himself as one of us, we get an opportunity to develop a loving relationship with him. We human beings can fall in love with human beings. Human beings cannot fall in love with cats and dogs. Of course, nowadays we see that it's happening. But in reality, when it comes to real love, then it has to be between human beings. All the loving relationships are generally between the same species. Therefore, when Krishna appears in this form, we actually get an opportunity to develop a loving relationship with him very easily. As if he is one of us. But still Krishna maintains his identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't do that. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu literally became one of us. Krishna, when he appeared, he revealed his identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He acted in a way that nobody else can do that. Like when he was 4 years old, lifted the Govardhan hill and kept it holding for 7 days. Can anybody else do that? No. And not only that, he lifted, and then Indra wanted to foil his endeavor. Indra failed. Thunder actually can break any mountain. Thunder is such a powerful weapon that it can pulverize a mountain. And Indra was constantly hurling thunder on the Govardhan when Krishna lifted it. Nothing happened. That actually caused Indra great anxiety. What's happening? Thunder is failing in this way. Not just one thunderbolt. Incessant hurling of this thunderbolt is not having any effect. So Krishna not only lifted Govardhan hill, but Krishna countered Indra's effort to destroy Govardhan. So that is the only Supreme Personality of Godhead can do such thing. Somebody went to Srila Prabhupada and he told Prabhupada that he is following, his guru is one Bhagavan such and such. Then Prabhupada said, okay, I'm sending a challenge to your Bhagavan. You tell your Bhagavan to lift the table with his one hand and keep it holding for 7 minutes. So he went and told his Bhagavan, Guru, that Swami Bhaktivedanta has sent you this challenge. What's the challenge? That you have to lift this table and hold with one hand and hold it for 7 minutes. So he said, how is it possible? So he went and told Srila Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada said, okay, see, he can't even lift a table and hold it for 7 minutes. Krishna lifted a mountain and held it for 7 days. So if your Bhagavan Guru is real Bhagavan, then why can't he do such a thing? And not only that, minimized to such a simple extent, a simple little table. Can't do that. And that person was very intelligent, so from that time he stopped going to that place, going to that so-called Guru, and took shelter of Srila Prabhupada. So, we have the opportunity, we are actually having two options when Krishna comes in his human-like form. We can either accept him as one of us and think that, well, I can also be like him. And the other option is to recognize that He is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and very mercifully He has given us the form which is identical to His form, and by doing that He is enabling us to have a loving relationship with Him. So these two choices we have. And I'm sure all of you have accepted the second choice, right? Recognizing His mercy and accepting the wonderful opportunity to develop a loving relationship with Him. And in these pastimes, Krishna is acting just like a human being. So as I was saying, Krishna actually revealed in his Krishna Leela, Krishna made it clear that He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, He is hiding that identity. No. If anybody ever said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead," he covered his ears as if he heard something very, very offensive and very, very contaminating, and he would start chanting, "Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu." What an offensive thing I heard. So this is how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is hiding His identity. He is playing as a devotee. And as a devotee, He came so close to us. And His pastimes are so wonderful. And through His pastimes, He is giving us the teachings. So today, we will basically discuss about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's identity and some of His pastimes. And tomorrow, again, I'll give another class. And in tomorrow's class, I'll explain about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this very place, Navadvip. Navadvip means 9 islands. There used to be 9 islands. The shape of the spiritual world is like that of a lotus. Sahasrapatra Kamalam, 1,000-petaled lotus. Gokulakhang Mahatpadam, which is known as Gokul. Tatkinjalkang Tatpatrani. The whirl of the lotus is the place where He Himself is manifest, and the petals of that lotus are the places of His pastimes with His devotees. So, it's like a lotus. As I was saying, this place is not different from the spiritual sky. This is spiritual world. Addapiho nitya lila kore gaura rai, kono kono bhagyavane dekhibare pai. Still now, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is performing His pastimes. Only some fortunate souls get to see those pastimes. And the lotus has 1,000 petals, or rather thousands of petals. And in the center is the whirl of the lotus, is the place of Krishna's pastimes. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's place of pastimes is also non-different from Krishna's place of pastimes. Krishna's place of pastimes is Vrindavan, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's place of pastimes is Navadvip. Is there any difference between Vrindavan and Navadvip? No, same. Just as Vrindavan is like 1,000-petaled lotus, Gauramandala Bhumi is also like 1,000-petal lotus. And in the center of the lotus is the whirl where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. That's called Jogopit. And around that, Jogopit or Antardip. And around that there are 8 petals. And those 8 petals are like 8 islands. Central island is Antardip, and around that there are 8 petal-like islands. So 8 plus 1, so Nava Deep, 9 islands. So this is the place called Antardip, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, and that's his birthplace. Most of you have seen, and others also will see during the parikrama time. He'll visit there. There Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared under a neem tree. That neem tree is still present as the son of Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra, 2 Brahmanas. And the Brahmanas used to lead a very simple life because they are more concerned about cultivation of their spiritual knowledge and spiritual practices. They were not so interested in materialistic prosperity. So therefore they used to lead a simple life. So Jagannath Mishra was a simple Brahman and didn't have much opulence. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, his son. But he was so attractive that everybody became attracted to him. Whoever came in contact with him. In his childhood he was so beautiful that whoever saw him became attracted to him. When Advaita Acharya's wife, Sita Thakurani, and Shivash Thakur's wife, Malini Devi, saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after his born, they saw that this is the same Krishna. Looks exactly like Bal Gopal. Only his complexion is different. Krishna's complexion is like monsoon cloud, and this boy's complexion is like molten gold. Kum kumakta kanchanabja garbhari gaurabha. Such beautiful child with molten golden complexion. And some of his pastimes were actually identical to Krishna's pastimes also. When Krishna was born, all the demigods came to see him. Same thing happened with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then some of the pastimes are very sweet. Like one day when he was just learning to crawl, he was crawling in the courtyard. In villages in India, the life used to be very simple. The children, they didn't have big multi-storied buildings, palaces. They used to have simple hutments, beautifully done, quite large and spacious, but made out of clay. And they were simple single story with thatched roof, but very beautifully done, very spacious. The roofs were also, there were art chalas. The ceilings were done in octagonal form or hexagonal form. But there used to be few houses and the courtyard in the middle. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was playing there, just crawling, little child, few months old. And at that time, one day Sachimata was busy cooking in the kitchen, and when she came out, she saw there was a huge snake. And the child was in the coil of that snake. Can you imagine the condition of the mother when she sees the child is in the coil of a snake? She screamed and almost fainted. Everyone came running and everyone saw that. What could they do? I mean, naturally they're afraid if they try to do something, the snake may bite the child. So all they could do is they just kept on shouting, Garuda, Garuda. Because when Garuda comes, then the snakes run away. You remember when Lakshman was bound by this snake pash, Nag pash? He was like almost dead, apparently. And then Garuda came. And as soon as Garuda came, all the snakes ran away from there. So that's why the custom is, when there is a possibility of a snake attack or some fear from snake, just chant the name of Garuda and the snake will run away. And here also, when they started, the snake saw that everyone became afraid, so he left the child and went away. Now who is that child? Who is that snake? Anantashesh. Anantashesh came to play with his Lord and Master, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Another very sweet pastime is, now Nimai is little old. He can walk and he can also talk, and in his broken accent. And so one day one Brahmana came. Like the way in Vedic culture, some of the Brahmanas used to travel from one place of pilgrimage to another place. And the other Brahmanas used to invite them to their house to become their guest. So that's such a wonderful culture. Like one could easily travel without any anxiety. One didn't have to worry about where should I stay, what should I eat. So the Brahmanas used to travel like that. So this Brahmana, Toitik Brahmana, who was traveling from a place of pilgrimage to another place of pilgrimage, he came to Navadvip. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's father, Jagannath Mishra, invited him, please come and be my guest. So the Brahmana came, and these Brahmanas, these traveling Brahmanas, would not take food cooked by others, even Brahmanas. They themselves used to cook and offer to the Lord. So the Brahmana cooked, and when he was offering to his Bal Gopal, he had his Bal Gopal deity that he used to carry. And little Nimai came and he started to eat the offering. So when the Brahmana opened his eyes and saw this little boy is eating the offering, he cried out, "Oh, this child just spoiled my offering." And everyone came running, and Jagannath Mishra was very upset. See, this is the thing, although he is the father of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he cannot recognize him. He is thinking that he is his little child, and he is very upset. He is shouting at him. He was about to chastise him with a stick. But that Brahmana stopped him. That is a little child, he doesn't know, so he did that. So Jagannath Mishra requested, please cook again. So the Brahmana said, look, I am accustomed to fasting, so I'll just take some fruits and nuts and that'll be fine for me. But on Jagannath Mishra's plea, he cooked again. This time also, when he was making the offering, little Nimai came and started to eat his offering. Again the Brahmana cried out. Jagannath Mishra came running and everyone else came running. And this time Jagannath Mishra is furious. But the Brahmana prevented him. And so when Jagannath Mishra appealed, please cook again, the Brahmana said, no, I'm not going to cook again. It's all right. It seems that the Lord doesn't want me to have any cooked food. So at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's elder brother Vishwarup came. And that Brahmana was stuck with wonder. Such a beautiful boy. Naturally, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So naturally, his form is all attractive. And so when Vishwarup appealed to him that please take it, because if you don't eat, if you starve in our house, it will be inauspicious for us. There will be inauspiciousness prevail in this house due to the offense to you. So on his appeal, Brahmana cooked again, but this time they took all kinds of precaution. Baby little Nimai was taken to the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya, his uncle's house, and not only they took him to another house and they locked the door. Jagannath Mishra is sitting outside, maybe with a stick in his hand. All kinds of precaution was taken that this time the child cannot spoil the offering. But again, when he was making the offering, this little child came and started to eat. This time the Brahmana was also about to cry out, oh, he spoiled my offering again. But Nimai told him, oh, what kind of a person you are? You're asking me to come and eat, and when I start eating, then you start crying, oh, he spoiled my offering, he spoiled my offering. So in this way, the little Nimai was performing his pastimes. Krishna also enacted a pastime like that. So this is how little Nimai was performing his pastimes. Now he grew up a little more. And he started to go to school. School means, those days, the school means the students used to come to the house of the teacher, and teacher would teach them. There was no separate building or things like that. A school as such, where there are so many students, there are few students, and the teacher used to personally take care of each student. And Nimai was so brilliant. There was different grades, different ages, the students of different ages. There were some, they were quite old, some were little older, and some are almost children. So, and Nimai was so brilliant that he memorized everything, and he actually superseded with knowledge even the senior students. All in one hand, he is extremely brilliant, but at the same time, he is extremely naughty. So that is another wonderful thing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Especially his childhood pastimes, often he is very, very naughty. And what he used to do, he used to go to Ganga. Those days, there was no tap water. The general custom was to go to the river and take bath there. Therefore, in India, we see that all the places, cities and villages, towns, they all were situated on the bank of some river. So Navadvip was situated in the confluence of Ganga and Saraswati. So people used to go to Ganga to take bath. And so Nimai, there used to be two different areas. One area for men, one area for women. So Nimai would take the clothes of men and take them to the area of the women. And take the clothes from the women's area and bring it to the men. And when they would come up after taking bath, they have to change their clothes. And they saw, the women came and saw that they were all men's clothes. And men saw that they were women's clothes. So this is one pastimes, one way Nimai acted in his childhood. And not only that, Brahmanas used to chant Gayatri half submerged in the water. And naturally at the time of chanting Gayatri, they're meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Nimai would go to them and say that, open your eyes and see. The personality that you are meditating upon is standing right in front of you. Some would complain, Nimai, what are you doing? Why are you interfering? They wouldn't speak, but they would make gestures. Get out of here. So Nimai would take water in his mouth and sprinkle it on their body. And they would feel very, very upset. Oh, see, he dirtied me again. Then sometimes Nimai some Brahmana is chanting Gayatri, and Nimai would grab him by his legs and drag him into the river. And the person would be afraid and would scream. And everybody would think that maybe it's a crocodile which has caught this person. And sometimes Nimai would go to the young girls who used to worship Lord Shiva or Lord Devi, Durga Devi. And the understanding was that young girls used to worship Lord Shiva and Durga Devi, Katyayani Devi, as the gopis also did, in order to get a good husband. So Nimai would go there and tell them, who are you worshipping? You are worshipping Lord Shiva, Mahesh. Don't you know that he is my servant? And Durga is my maidservant. So, why are you offering all this to them? Offer them to me, and I will fulfill your desires. I know why you're worshipping. Okay, I'll fulfill your desire. You'll have a husband as handsome as Cupid, as opulent as Kuvera, as powerful as Indra. And they would say, Nimai, it's too much. What you are doing, come on, stop saying all these things. Don't you know it's a blasphemy to speak like that? Nimai said, look, I am making a simple proposal. Give all those offerings to me and your desires will be fulfilled. And some girls becoming completely exasperated, like they just take their things and run away from there. Nimai would say, okay, if you don't make the offering to me, then you will be married to a husband who is 75 years old. He'll have a few co-wives. And so then they will come running. Okay, take this. So this is how Nimai would perform his naughty childhood pastimes. And the girls would go and complain to Sachimata that, look, this is how Nimai is behaving, this is what he is doing. And the men would go and complain to Jagannath Mishra. So Jagannath Mishra would become very, very upset. He would say, okay, I have to chastise this boy. He is becoming completely uncontrollable. And those who are complaining, they would come and they would tell, no, Jagannath Mishra, don't get upset. As a matter of fact, when he behaves like that, we like it. So don't chastise him. But still Jagannath Mishra, very upset, he would just take a stick in his hand and would go to chastise Nimai. And the girls would come and tell Nimai, your father is really upset. Please run away from here. He is coming to chastise you. So Nimai would go away. And then Jagannath Mishra would see that Nimai is coming as if he is coming straight from his guru's school. Hair is completely dry, body is little dusty. There is marks of ink in his face. His fingers are also dipped in ink. A little bit of ink stains are there. And when Jagannath Mishra would shout at him, you, what you been doing in Ganga? Ganga? I'm just coming from school. Then why are they complaining like that? The girls went and said that you have done all these things to your mother, and the men came and complained to me. Nimai just responded, I don't know why they speak like that about me. And Jagannath Mishra also is quite baffled. Yeah, it's true. I don't understand. It doesn't look like he went to the river and he did all these things. And so in this way, Nimai would perform his childhood pastimes. But when Nimai grew up, he became very serious. But still he would make some childlike pastimes. But when he grew up, he became very serious, and it is said that he would never joke with any woman. He maintained a very grave and distant attitude when he grew up from women. So this is how wonderfully Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed some of his beautiful pastimes. And as you remember, the purpose of these pastimes of the Lord is simply to give pleasure to His devotees. Iti driksha lilabhir ananda kunde shaghosham nimajjantam akhapayantam. In this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead performs His pastimes, simply to drown His devotees in an ecstasy, in an ocean of ecstasy, in a pool of ecstasy. Ananda kunde shaghosham nimajjantam. And well, I was thinking of, okay, I'll just still another pastime and I'll end it here. Now Nimai is about 16 years old, and everyone is aware of his scholarship, extremely learned. Like he knows everything, all scriptures, every aspect of different scriptures. And a very powerful Brahmana came, learned Brahmana, who conquered all the other scholars of India at that time. He was from Kashmir and he traveled throughout India, defeating all the scholars. Those days the scholars, Brahmana scholars, used to do things like that. Like they would get the title of the conqueror of all other scholars. Just as a king would conquer all the kingdoms, these Brahmanas would conquer other learned Brahmanas and get this title of monarch, Sarvabhauma. And so this Keshav Kashmiri came to Navadvip. And hearing that Keshav Kashmiri came, like all the Brahmanas of Navadvip, some of them ran away, some of them were not coming out of their house under different pleas. So everyone is kind of afraid that they may be defeated by him and it will be very embarrassing. So this Brahmana Keshav Kashmiri was waiting for these Brahmanas to come back or accept his challenge. So one evening he was walking right by the Ganges. All these pastimes actually happened right here. So he was walking by the Ganges and he saw one young boy, very handsome, was teaching something to a group of students. He went there and asked, "So, what are you teaching?" "I'm teaching grammar." "Oh, what's your name?" "My name is Nimai. I'm the son of Jagannath Mishra." So Keshav Kashmiri said, "Oh, so you are that Nimai Pandit?" So, well, out of affection they call me a Pandit, a scholar. But I'm just an ordinary person. "Very good, I can see that you are very humble." So Nimai then, so he kind of challenged him. So Nimai said, who am I to kind of accept any challenge? But now that I've come across you, let me learn something. What do you want to learn? What do you want to hear from me? Please speak something about Ganga that's flowing, Ganga's glory. So Keshav Kashmiri immediately composed 100 verses glorifying Ganga. They're all in poetry, with a speed as if with the speed of the movement of the river, the waves of Ganga, current of Ganga. Such a brilliant scholar, just reciting verse after verse glorifying Ganga. Then he asked, "So, what do you think?" "Oh, it's wonderful. You are really a great poet." There are certain flaws and certain credits in that composition. Flaws? In my composition there is no flaw. Who are you to understand poetry, the ornaments of poetry? You're just simply a grammar teacher. Nimai said, "Yeah, you see, I hear the other scholars in Navadvip speak about different things about poetry and alankar. So I learnt a little bit of that." So when he challenged Nimai, Nimai pointed out, he recited one verse And he was surprised. Oh, with the speed of the current of the river, I composed those shlokas. How did you remember that? He said, just as some personalities become best of the poets, Kavivar, some also can become Shrutidhar, who remembers everything just by hearing. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took that one verse and pointed out 6 mistakes in that. One verse. And these are all grammatical things like the structural defects. In simple words, we can say that the subject should come before the predicate, but here predicate has come before the subject. But one thing that is very easy to understand, the flaw, while describing Ganga, he was telling how Lord Shiva is holding Ganga on his head. And in course of describing that, he identified Lord Shiva as Bhavani Bhartu, meaning husband of Bhavani. Who is Bhavani? Bhavani is Durga, the husband of Durga. Now he pointed out that the name Bhavani comes from Bhava, which is the name of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is Bhava and Bhavani is Bhava's husband. Bhavani. Durga is Lord Shiva's wife of Lord Shiva. So Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, and the husband of Lord Shiva's wife. So literally, Bhavani Bharta means the husband of Lord Shiva's wife. As if it is saying that Lord Shiva's wife has 2 husbands. And in this way, this poet was completely defeated. All the students started to laugh, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped them. No, don't do that. Like, he's a great scholar. No one should actually embarrass him. But this personality who was actually blessed by Saraswati, that she would always reside in his tongue. That means whatever he would say is actually her saying. She would speak. And so he was crying and appealing to that, you had to embarrass me in this way. Like I got defeated by a mere boy. Then Saraswati appeared to him and told him, Keshav, today your learning has achieved its ultimate success. The personality who defeated you is none other than my Lord and Master, Sri Krishna himself. So Keshav Kashmiri then went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and fell at his feet and accepted him as his teacher. So this is how we can see how wonderfully Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his pastimes. And through his pastimes, his identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is becoming revealed time and time again. Thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschata Nishatari Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.